So I was watching the channel Ville, and I was cracking up about his like crazy witness stories. And it must be like a Northeast thing because his stories sound like eerie similar to like the way that I grew up, and I'm like, yeah, we must be from the same state. But it I'm like, all right, well, let me think of a crazy witness story because crazy funny, not crazy like I'm being attacked or something like that. Well, at least not me. So um the one of the craziest stories I've experienced as a witness was my college graduation party. It's actually a couple of layers to it, but I'll try to sum it up. So basically, me and a good friend of mine's, we go to college together and we graduate from the same program the same year. So we worked really hard and we worked our butts off for that. Like it was like one of the worst experiences of our life. We cried throughout the whole thing. So we were like, we're gonna reward ourselves and we're gonna have a graduation party. So she was a witness as well. So she was dating this guy and I guess something happened between them. I don't know. But she ended up going to the brothers about it. Now, remind you, we're already in the process of setting up the party and we're making plans together, and it's a couple weeks away and she decides to go confess her sins. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now I did she tell me? I'm not sure. I don't remember her telling me in advance that she was going to go to the brothers, but she ended up going to the brothers and she thought that she was going to get reproved because this was her first offense. Like she was going to jail or something. But she actually got disfellowshipped. It was actually pretty traumatic. She called me and we sat in the parking lot and cried for like 3 hours together. It was terrible. But she ended up getting disfellowship a couple of weeks before our joint graduation party. So I was like, well, I don't want to cancel it, so I'm just gonna have it anyway. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two, I was cheap. I just came out of school. I needed to pay for my board exams. I really didn't have the money to do it. So my aunt volunteered her boyfriend's house for me to have my party at. Now, this is the same aunt that is disfellowshipped, right? And her boyfriend isn't a witness. Now, my aunt has been disfellowshipped so long. Well, she's not disfellowshipped anymore, but when she was disfellowshipped for so long that no one knew who she was. So she could throw a party for me and no one would have known that she was disfellowshipped at the time unless they were around when she was younger. And most of the people that I was inviting to the event didn't know my aunt when she was younger. So I'm like, all right, auntie, like, if you're gonna throw this party for me, like, you gotta stay in the cut. Like, I'm like, I love you. I'm gonna talk to my aunt, but everyone's conscience is different. And so, um, I'm going to just have you sit in the cut. She's like, no, I wanna have this event for you. You worked really hard. So I'm like, okay, auntie, I don't trust this lady. Like, I know she's super social and she wants to be within the loop. And her and my mom are just they're the same. I know my mom, I know my aunt, like they're the same people. But I'm like, all right, you gotta stay in the back. And so she's like, no, I got you. I'm not gonna be all up in it. So I'm like, okay. So the day of the event, I bring my boyfriend, who is now my husband now. And at that time we had just started dating. So maybe it was like 2 or 3 months into our actual relationship. It wasn't even that long into us dating. And I'm getting dressed and I have my hair done and we picked out matching outfits. So we was matching at the event and I had set up everything. And I just remember having real anxiety because one, my aunt was disfellowshipped and I was really worried about her, like someone seeing knowing who she was and knowing that she was disfellowshipped. That really gave me a lot of anxiety. And then number two, my friend had just got disfellowship because I think she appealed her disfellowshipping, so it kind of extended the process. So maybe she got disfellowship that week or the week prior. So she the whole situation was terrible. It was devastating. So then so everyone started showing up to the event. Now, the three people that caused the ruckus through the whole thing, I don't remember inviting them. I think they were my friend's friend, or her little brother's friends, because they were younger. They were much younger than me. They were like 6 years younger than me. But I wasn't going to uninvite people like, oh well, she's disfellowship, so I'm gonna uninvite all the people that were on her list. Like I'm not doing that. So they end up coming. And so the one girl, she's like 17, and the one guy is 17, and then the other guy was actually closer to my age, his friend. Now, the friend that was my age, I could not stand him. I did not like him. He annoyed me. On top of that, he wasn't baptized, and in the witness world, if you got somebody's Bible study, like you don't bring them to parties like this. You bring them to the Kingdom Hall, and you do like watchtowers with them or something, or you do like little small events. But for some reason he was at every party, and I just didn't understand that. He was somebody's Bible study. So, and he didn't really act like a witness, so I just didn't understand why he was at my graduation party. He knew I didn't really like him like that, but he was just there. So um then so the party is going, and everybody seems to be having fun. There's music playing in the background, and my aunt comes outside, of course, and starts mingling and dancing with everyone. And I'm getting super annoyed with her because I'm like, you said you were going to stay in the house, Auntie. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. So she goes in the house. Her boyfriend is smoking and drinking. And I'm like, oh my God, the congregation. This is why they're never going to accept me, because I got my auntie, my disfellowship auntie, dancing with everybody. And then I have her boyfriend in here smoking a cigarette and drinking. I was like, I hope I don't stumble anybody. You would think that would have been the part that stumbled people, but no. So I have so much anxiety from the whole situation. I go in the house, and then my boyfriend, now husband, follows me in there, and he's trying to calm me down. And I'm like, she just keeps dancing with people. I'm talking about my aunt. And then my mom comes in, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, Auntie keeps dancing with people, and she's disfellowshipped. And I'm getting upset because I didn't want like it to get caught that I'm using my disfellowship aunt's house, but I really didn't have anywhere else to like use. So all I hear is this commotion. I'm like, these men like yelling, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'll open the door. The girl's dad has showed up, who's an elder. So it was brother elder. He shows up with his brother elder friend, and he's in the guy's face that I don't like. So apparently, while I was in the house, brother elder shows up and grabs his daughter and was like, you're coming home. Apparently she was supposed to be home at a certain time, and then she didn't show up. So he found out where my party was, and he showed up at the event and grabbed his daughter. Well, her boyfriend jumped up in brother elder's face and was like, don't touch her like that. So these people are black, so you don't do that with black people. And you don't do that with black people's kids. Like, you just don't do that. So he didn't know his place. And so the elder was like, oh, you want to fight? He was like, oh, you want to fight? And then his friend, who was my age, who was a little bit older than him, he was like, you don't threaten a minor. And so I didn't know all that would happen. So when I had walked outside, all I see is the one I already didn't like. So I already had a bias towards him, arguing with the elder that I actually like really loved. Like, I really like him. So I'm like, I come outside, I push the elder to the side. And I'm like, why are you yelling at brother elder? Why are you yelling at him? And I'm like, he was disrespectful to my friend. And me and the other boy is going back and forth. My boyfriend, now husband, grabs me and pulls me aside. Like, he picked me up and pulled me to the side. And now the other elder that came with the girl's dad, now they're about to fight. So the other elder comes and grabs the brother, and he drags him outside. In the front, because we were all in the backyard. So he drags them to the street, and then that was the end of the party at that point. And 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 then that was the end of the party. Like, everything got shut down, and in my head, I'm like, "Well, this is what I deserve. I had a party at a disfellowship person's house. This is Jehovah punishing me for my sins. I should have just canceled the party when my friend got disfellowship, because there was Jehovah's Holy Spirit wasn't on this event, and I'm sitting here like beating myself up." But it's funny because when my husband yoked me up, it was like kind of like, "Ooh, I kind of really like you." And at that point, I was like, "I'm going to marry him." It was at that moment I knew I was going to marry my husband when he yoked me up, because I got a little bit of a mouth. And when one of my then friends, she was saying to me, she's like, "I liked how so and so, my husband, I liked how he gripped you up when you started going off, because no one can control you." Because at the time I was vicious. This is why I never got parts at the assembly. I always wanted parts of the assembly and couldn't figure out why. But now I'm reflecting on my past. I'm like, this is why they never gave me parts to the assembly. But to sum up the story, the girl ended up getting pregnant by the other guy. So the father's intuition is is something else, because he knew he didn't like that boy. She ended up getting pregnant by the other guy, and then they end up getting married at some point. I don't know if they're still together or not. And unfortunately, the guy that I didn't like, he ended up dying in a car accident not too long after that. So that is my crazy witness story. And the sad thing is, people always talking about like witnesses snitching. Not a single person snitched about the party at all. Like, no one told on the elders. I didn't call. I knew what congregation they were in too. I just kind of left that alone. I'm like, listen, I got my own dirt. I was at my disfellowship auntie's house having a party. No one said anything. No one reported me to the elders. I kind of just got away with that story, like that situation, scot free. Like, it is what it is. That's what happened. So that's my crazy witness story. You wouldn't think all of those people were witnesses, but they were. It was insane. It was causing a ruckus in a nice neighborhood, and you know what that means. All right. Until the next video. I gotta think of some more crazy stories.